Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Virginia NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and the Executive Director of your favorite chapter, Virginia NORML. It's Friday, March 24th, 2023, and you know what that means. It's time for us to talk all things cannabis in the Commonwealth and answer your burning questions live. Hello, JC in Virginia Beach. Good to see you here. Hello, Sherry. Happy Friday to you. Hey, friends, wherever you're watching, why don't you drop us a note in the comments and let us know. Where are you from? And don't forget, go ahead and take a minute to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. And hey, we do it every week. Hello, James. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. It's been a nice, calm week here in the Commonwealth. Hey, Skyline in Warrenton. Good to see you. I think let's start it out with some good news. Listen, not that you all didn't know this, but I want to remind everyone, in the era of marijuana legalization, yeah, the kids are all right. They really are. And the data shows us this. The NORML op-ed is available on our website right now. Please take a minute, not right now though, to read it and share it on your social media. Like, there are a lot of people out there who are clutching the pearls and shouting, "What about the children?" And the good news is, 10 years after the first state legalized marijuana, we don't have to wonder, what about the children? We know they're fine. Hey, Rick in Melbourne. Good to see you. Good to see you down there in the Sunshine State. All right, got some more good news, especially for you Virginia viewers. This week, G-Leaf started accepting debit cards, and these are known as cashless transactions. So it is specifically debit cards, not credit cards. But if you go to a G-Leaf dispensary in Virginia, you can use your ATM card there now. It will read on your bank statement as an ATM withdrawal. It won't show up as G-Leaf on your statement. And there's a $3.50 fee for using your debit card and a $500 transaction limit. Of course, there are ATMs inside of the dispensaries as well, so you could walk over there and get your cash out, or you can go to the register and do the same thing, one stop. Otherwise, just bring cash, because that's how cannabis works in the Commonwealth. Yep. What else do I know? If you want to split the payments using cash and debit cards, you pay your cash first, and then you can put the balance on your ATM card, your debit card. Yeah, and this is really good for patients because you can pay the exact amount rather than having to withdraw more from the ATM than you need at the time. So it'll help patients get in and out faster. Good news, allows for more payment options, and this is available at all locations here in Virginia for G-Leaf. This is Manchester, Short Pump, Carytown, and Colonial Heights. Good news. Hey, Folly. Hey, Ricky, it's always hot in Florida. I know, because that's where I'm from, and I don't live there anymore because it's always hot. I'm also really glad I don't live there for a number of other reasons. The weather's up there at the top. Hey, Allison, good to see you. Yes, Michael. Yes, Michael, indeed. First of all, hello, friend. Good to see you back. And yes, ATM cards, debit cards are accepted at all of the G-Leaf locations and the Richmond area cannabis locations. So this will be Manchester and Short Pump, as well as Carytown and Colonial Heights. Thanks for asking. Hey, Kyle. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Hi, Ellie. I'm so glad to see you. It'd be something if I was hearing you right now. Glad to see you, Ellie. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Uh, what else we got happening? Oh, guess what? DC made some moves this week. Okay, so there is a bill that has been pending in the district for some time. It was approved by the Mayor Bowser, signed this legislation on January 31st, but legislation in the district has to undergo an obligatory congressional review process. The law became well, the measure became law on Wednesday. Wednesday the 22nd. Yep, Wednesday the 22nd. This new law increases the number of licensed dispensaries that can happen in DC. These are medical dispensaries. It enacts tax relief for medical cannabis operators in the district. It codifies the ability for adults to self-certify for medical cannabis and creates new business categories for cannabis licenses, like on-site consumption lounges, things like that. It also creates opportunities for unregulated operators to apply for licensure. So all around, some really great changes in DC took effect. You may recall that previously the Second Chance Amendment Act also took effect in DC, and this provides for the automatic review and expungement of any convictions or citations specific to marijuana offenses that would now be considered legal activities in DC. So, good changes in DC. Hey, Russ. Good to see you. Hey, John. John wants to know if there's a way to open. John says, hello, is there a way to open a medical dispensary in Virginia to get ahead of adult use? Not at this time. There has to be, in order for additional medical cannabis dispensaries to be licensed in Virginia, that would take legislation. And now there was legislation introduced in the Virginia General Assembly in January, not only to license adult use dispensaries, but also to license additional medical cannabis dispensaries. And all of these bills failed at the direction of the administration. Hi, Kira. Good to see you. It's okay if you missed the start. We're here for you. Ooh, yeah, how about no thanks to that one? Yuck. Oh, Barry. Well, that's wild. Okay. Hey, Barry. Good to see you. Watching over on LinkedIn. Barry's comment says that there's legislation pending in Pennsylvania to sell cannabis in their packies, in their ABCs, as we call them here in Virginia. Yeah, and I don't disagree, Barry. That is a terrible idea. Here's why I personally don't think that's a great policy choice, because you might recall, Barry, that previous states had tried to um, have state licensed businesses, not state licensed, but state entities dispense cannabis. We've had a state try to say that, okay, well, only state-run pharmacies are going to dispense cannabis, and that ultimately was determined that it would be legally problematic to have state employees engage in the sale of a substance that is federally illegal. So we'll see what happens in Pennsylvania. It's always fascinating when states come up with especially when a state already regulates cannabis, like Pennsylvania, and they come up with these other convoluted ideas. It's like, you already do it, and you already know how. Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? I might be looking at you, Virginia. I mean, listen, we're not actually trying to reinvent the wheel here in Virginia. We regulate cannabis and we do it pretty well. But it's funny when people talk about, oh, we know we're still working on this, or we got to watch, or no, we don't. We already do it here. Just like Barry in Pennsylvania, obviously you already regulate medical cannabis. So it seems like your state knows how and could just move forward. Hey, Robert, good to see you. Kyle, it's interesting that you brought that up, because I was just talking to our folks at Indiana NORML about how your state could advance some common sense measures that would get you closer to your end goal of legalizing and regulating adult use. Kyle, here in Virginia, we started with nothing in 2015, and I mean absolutely nothing. And we went from passing just the tiniest little bill in 2015 that essentially said, if you get arrested, then you can present this certificate, and the judge maybe can accept it if they feel like it, and only for CBD and only for epilepsy. And we went from that in 2015 to adult use in 2021. So you can do it in a conservative controlled legislature that is not emotionally comfortable with regulating cannabis, but you have to be willing to take the measured steps that it gets there to get there. So I think there is hope for Indiana, Kyle. Listen, there's hope for pretty much any state. But I'll also remind you of this. Number one, elections have consequences. And two, don't ever let the perfect be the enemy of the good. You got to be willing to take the steps. Oh, hello, Heather. Heather asks, when is Kentucky going to vote in the House to legalize medical cannabis? My understanding, Heather, is that the bill is scheduled for, I believe it's second and third reads on the 29th and the 30th of this month. And I'm trying to look and see if that is in fact the case. But I did stay up with our wonderful friends in Kentucky. Yes, there we go. 29th. Oh, no, that's not it. That's another one. But yeah, I believe it is later this week. Not this week, next week. I think it is scheduled to be docketed next week for those votes, those final votes. But remember, Heather, the House in Kentucky has already twice approved medical cannabis. All right, here we go. The bill is sent to the House. Get a first reading and committee assignment, second reading on March 29th, final passage on March 30th. So that's, as I understand it, what is scheduled for Kentucky's medical cannabis bill. We're very excited to see this cross the finish line. It's been a lot of hard work in Kentucky on this issue. Big shout out to Kentucky NORML for getting the job done. Hey, Harold. Got a lot of people not from Virginia today, and I'm not mad about it. I mean, I'm glad you all from Virginia are here too, but come on, everyone. Let's have a party. Any legalizing going on in North Carolina? You know, Harold and Cassidy can probably drop a link to that in the chat for you. I mean, goodness, I'm just assuming you were copied on that email. But let me see if I can scroll and find it. There was an adult use bill introduced. It's on our ACT page also. Here it is. I found it. I'm sorry, Cassidy, you're not copied on that. Why would you be? Here we go. See if I can do it. Okay, Harold, here comes the link right now in the chat to the North Carolina bill for adult use. I believe that we do, in fact, we are getting an action alert up on that as well. If it's not on our website yet, it will be soon. You can check it out at norml.org/act. Dwayne, yes, I'd love to join you at for a podcast, Dwayne. Thanks for asking. Hey, Kira, let's get into your question here. Kira has a question. The way that Virginia cannabis laws are, is it that only one dispensary has the right to operate in a certain health service area? Yes, that is currently how Virginia's medical cannabis program is structured. And remember, Kira, this program was drafted under a Republican-controlled legislature, started back in 2016. So it's a very outdated model, and it's not one that we would vote. We wouldn't approve such a model as a state today, but it was what was approved way back in the day when we got to work on this. And it's one that very much demonstrates what the emotional comfort level was in the legislature with cannabis, which is not at all. You're a little fuzzy on how that works. I'm just wondering if I should be hopeful that a different dispensary will come to your area one day. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And so there will be expansion, not only in the medical cannabis program, but obviously in adult use at some point. But what this shows you, first of all, I can't say it enough, elections have consequences. Virginians for a long time elected people who just didn't care about cannabis, didn't want to advance the issue, and we were finally able to move it through. They were just, all the hand wringing and pearl clutching was absurd. And that's why those businesses are licensed as pharmaceutical processors. They don't have anything to do with pharmaceuticals, but that's the language that the legislature felt okay with. It made them feel okay that we were going to allow companies to grow hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of cannabis plants in the Commonwealth. They're going to call it pharmaceutical processors, and that made them feel good, and that's fine. And like I told someone today, and like you've heard me say a million times before, I don't care what you call it. You could have called it like the pickle juice. It doesn't matter what you call it as long as you get it done. Now, just a few years later, Kira, when they added additional retail locations for these companies, they call them cannabis dispensing facilities. Why? Because they were more emotionally comfortable with the reality of regulating cannabis after a few years of doing it. So that's why it's like that. It shouldn't stay like that. And in fact, there were multiple bills, and there have been multiple bills for a few years now to not only license adult use, but to expand the medical program. And we, as a state, not we individually, but the state has elected a governor who's not interested in that at all. I can't even say that it's the legislature, because there's plenty of bipartisan support, bicameral support for these efforts in the legislature. But the governor is a no-go on adult use licensing, and was a no-go on additional medical licensing this session as well. Is that going to change before the end of his term? Tell me what you think, friends. Drop that note in the comments now. You're welcome, Harold. And great question, Kira. Thank you. Hey, John, good to see you. Yeah, it is super lame, Kira, and it will change at some point. But gosh, you all have to vote. Hey, let's talk about elections for a second. Dwayne, I'm just going to drop your comment up here for a minute, because that's something you said with your out loud voice. Elections. So we have primaries coming up in June. This will be for the House and the Senate. All House and Senate seats are up for election at the state level in Virginia in November. Now, there will be primaries for some of these seats, and that'll happen in June. And so what we have to help you decide who you want to vote for are a few tools. So we have the candidate survey, and this is on the Virginia NORML website right now. It's real easy for any candidate to find it. And if you want to share it with a candidate, I encourage you to do that. You can just direct them to the link on our website under the elections tab. Now, what we do is take the information from the candidate survey and put it into our voter guide, our Smoke the Vote voter guide to legalizing marijuana in your state. You can find that at vote.norml.org. There's links to it on the Virginia NORML website as well. We also we also talk to candidates directly, obviously, and for people who are already in office, we are looking at their votes. We are cataloging their votes. Their votes are going to speak for them, whether they answer the survey or not. So we are going to take a look at the kind of votes we had this session, and that is going to help determine what letter grades we give people in our Smoke the Vote voter guide to legalizing marijuana in your state. And even after it's legal, we still use the voter guide. Everyone is ranked in the voter guide. So we have these tools available for you. I cannot stress enough. Now is a great time to get involved with these campaigns, with these candidates, and let them know that cannabis is an issue for you. They don't think that this is a kitchen table issue. So some of them will be prepared to talk about it, and most of them will not be. And the ones who think they are, you know what they're going to talk about. They're not going to talk about consumers. They're going to talk about who gets to make money first or next off of you. Anyhow, James, listen. Yes, okay. So you make the shirt, James. Go ahead. Elections have consequences. Sherry, look, Sherry made me the sign. Where is it? Right behind me. Making choices, friends. That should probably be on a shirt too. Hey, Fonz, this is a really excellent question. Someone asked me this earlier today. If Democrats hold the Senate and take the House back, will a legalization bill make it to the governor? It's entirely possible that it would. Will he sign it? I don't know. I think that, and then also Fonz says, if Republicans take the Senate, then cannabis will be illegal again in Virginia. I don't think that the votes exist for that, full stop. I just don't think the votes exist, even under a fully Republican-controlled legislature. I don't think they exist for that. And if that were the case, Virginia would be the very first state to roll back cannabis, a measure like that, a legalization measure. It's always time for stupid, though, in Virginia. So let's all see what happens. Elections have consequences. Please vote. So would he sign a bill? Maybe a very narrow bill. Maybe a bill like what Delegate Hodges originally introduced, which would have done what Maryland is going to do on July 1st of this year. And Maryland, which just legalized, by the way, we legalized years before Maryland. They just did. But July 1st of this year, you'll be able to go to Maryland and shop at dispensaries. Why? Because they're going to turn on sales for adults at the existing dispensaries. Why? Because that's what states do when they legalize. When they move from medical to adult use, that's what they do. Because adults ought to be able to buy something that's legal. And if you have stores that sell it, why are you gatekeeping adults from those stores? That's what's happening here. So congratulations, Maryland. Looking forward to July 1st for you all up there. Here in Virginia, you get nothing. Go somewhere else. Or, participate in a medical program, and at least that's very accessible. Doesn't have a made-up list of conditions, and there's no age restrictions on that. I mean, you have to, just like when you go to the pharmacy, if you're under 18, you have to have parent, legal guardian with you, but, some states do weird stuff, and we don't do that here. It is a terrifying thought, isn't it, Kira? That's very true, Dwayne. Many Republicans do support cannabis, and many Republican leaders do as well. Just not enough of them. Maryland did get it together, Marcy. Their governor was like, I hear you, voters. I hear you. Fonz, right? New York is having huge issues. There was a shooting and a robbery there. I believe it was very recently, just in the past week or so. There was a one of those unregulated stores, dispensaries, whatever. It's not a real dispensary, but it's a store, opened up, and there was a shooting in broad daylight, a robbery there. They're having a lot of issues in New York, and they don't need to. Hey, Tank. Good to see you. What do I believe needs to happen for Virginia to legalize retail sales for adults? Well, first, you need to vote. You need to elect people that will advance a measure through the House and Senate. I don't know if this governor is willing to sign an adult use retail bill, though. Would he veto it if the legislature sent it to him? He says he would not. In fact, he said this year that it was up to the legislature to get him a bill. But I will also say that when the administration is telling committee chairs not to send bills out of committee, I mean, is that the most honest statement? Just saying. Okay, James, good for you. Michael, great question. Michael wants to know if there's any movement on the very different budgets between the House and the Senate. So what's happened is that they have rejected the Senate version and they have agreed upon the House version, which they are calling the skinny budget. So what is most likely to happen is the governor is most likely to convene a special session specific to the budget. No one get wigged out that like there's going to be a special session and somehow we're going to legalize marijuana in a special session. Just a budget special session. So that's what's most likely to happen, Michael. But the version that they have, the skinny budget that they have approved, does not include the necessary funding for CCA. Yuck, 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 Dwayne. That's funny. I mean, he said that to the press as well. He said it's up to the legislature to send me a bill. But I can tell you that I stood in that committee room and watched as a leader in the House came back in and said no to the subcommittee chair. We aren't advancing this bill. So, oh, look at that. So funny. Bye. Anyhow, Dwayne, thanks for that question. You know, hey, these are people that are in office now, whether we voted for them or not. We've got to my message that consumers should come first is what people need to learn. Yeah, thanks, Folly. I mean, that's what we believe here at NORML, since NORML represents the interest of responsible consumers and has done so for nearly 53 years. Over half a century, NORML's work has been focused specifically on representing the interests and providing a voice for responsible consumers in the public policy debate surrounding cannabis laws. We're literally the only organization that does that. Organizations out there that advocate for business interests, there's a lot of them, and people should definitely get involved with those industry organizations if they're interested. But shouldn't someone stand up for consumers? We do, and we think it's important. So I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down. And look, I'm not trying to offend my good colleagues who work in the administration. I'm just trying to tell the people the truth. You can go find this yourself in the news. You don't have to believe me. The statements are on the record. Ben Pavier and Graham Muma and Ned Oliver have all written extensively about this topic. I appreciate you, Folly. Oh, Dwayne, you're the kindest. Look at that. Thanks, 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 thanks. Yes, you should. You should. Hey, I mailed out so many NORML and Virginia NORML memberships this week. Oh my gosh. Hey, if you have not yet gotten your cards, well, I mean, you should. Oh, these are some good ones that I have to send out to some people. Hey, you should get them. You can join NORML by heading to norml.org/join. You need that national membership. And then you should join your state organization as well. Here in Virginia, you're going to head to vanorml.org/join. Make sure you have your 2023 membership cards in hand. I can't wait to send them to you. Yeah. What else happened? Oh, hey. You know what? The governor has until Monday, end of Monday, governor has until the end of Monday to sign all of the pending cannabis related bills. And there are multiple medical cannabis improvement bills that he ought to sign. I would encourage you to send him a quick note in support of signing those bills. We do have an action alert. I know Cassidy is going to drop that in the chat for you right now. Please take a minute to send a message to Governor Youngkin urging him to approve multiple bills that will improve Virginia's medical cannabis program, because fortunately we were able to get those bills passed. And wow, was it really difficult, and definitely unnecessarily difficult. All right, friends, this has been delightful. Hey, you know what's coming up in April? I mean, obviously, April is the marijuana month. It is the month of 420, but the National Cannabis Festival is happening in April. It's April 22nd. It's at RFK Stadium. NORML has been part of the advocacy committee since the beginning of the National Cannabis Festival, and I hope to see some of you there. You can get tickets and VIP packages and more at nationalcannabisfestival.com. A new addition this year will be the LGBTQIA+ pavilion. This is a new pavilion. They've added new pavilions over the years, from the seniors pavilion to the veterans pavilion, and they will be adding the LGBTQIA+ pavilion this year. Yours truly will be there in that pavilion all day, and I will have with me some of NORML's coming out green swag. So get your tickets to NCF, come by, say hi, and get some cool swag. See you there, friends. Also, coming up this June in Denver, Colorado, we're having the first ever cannabis business law legal seminar. We have legal seminars every year, but this is the first one that will be specifically devoted to continuing legal education credits for attorneys who are practicing or interested in practicing cannabis business law. So I would love to see all of you, because non-lawyers are more than welcome to attend. There's a discounted rate for you if you do not need continuing legal education credits. For the 2023 NORML Denver Legal Seminar. This is June 7 through 9 in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. You can check that out at norml.org/Denver, including the incredible lineup of nationally renowned speakers, attorneys that are practicing cannabis business law right now, dealing with the really cutting edge issues that the industry is facing. Be the first one of these we've done, and it'll be great to see you all there. And not only do we have a welcome reception, there are extracurricular activities planned every day after the seminar panels. There are different tours you can take. And we have the NORML Foundation benefit dinner as well at the Marijuana Mansion. Get your tickets to the seminar, get your tickets to the dinner, come hang out with NORML in Denver at the 2023 NORML Denver Legal Seminar. Can't wait to see you there. Oh, hey, Kyle. Kyle says one thing we have to do. So even if you can use it medically, some places don't allow you to use it. And if you test positive, you can still get fired. So that is very true. Here in Virginia, we have passed employment protections for medical cannabis patients. They're limited, but they're pretty good. What we need to do is expand that to adult use consumers in Virginia. Many states have already done that. Virginia is not one that has, but hey, elections have consequences. You got to vote, friends. Whatever state you're in, you got to vote. And if you don't elect people who want to see the changes that you want, it makes it really difficult to make it happen. All right, friends, this has been delightful as ever. Thanks so much for spending this time with us. I love chatting with you all. You have the best questions. Hey, before you go, take a quick second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. Hey, Mike, good to see you. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend wherever you are. Hey, come back. See me here next week. As always, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.